Academy Forestry Club. I welcome you, sir, to this function. Gogul GS, student, keralalawacademy, who is among us to render the vote of thanks to this inaugural function. I welcome you to this function. I also would like to welcome all the dignitaries who will be joining us in the coming days and sharing their knowledge and experiences over the various wildlife topics. I also welcome the faculties, students, parents, and other dignified guests to this inaugural function of the Wildlife Week 2021. On behalf of Kerala Law Academy Law College and on my own personal behalf, I extend to everyone a very warm welcome. Thank you.
Shalini, we have also a special guest, Justice Ramashan sir.
Sir.
Also welcome. He is a member of the National Green Tribunal.
Sir, a very warm welcome from my side.
Thank you, ma'am, for your warm welcome. I also take this opportunity to welcome you too in this ceremony, ma'am. A good teacher can inspire hope, ignite imagination, and instill a love for learning. This saying is true in all senses for us. We have Professor Harindran K., Principal, Kerala Academy Law College, a man with charismatic personality and extreme energy. From the bottom of my heart, I invite Harindran sir to introduce our speaker for the day, Smt Vidya Venkatesh, Inclusive Wildlife Conservationist and Director, Last Wilderness Foundation, Mumbai. Sir, please.
Good evening to all. Thank you for the nice words of Global GS. First of all, I am paying my respectful homage to our founder director, Dr. N. Narayanan Nair sir. Most respected Advocate Nagaraj Narayanan sir, our director and chairman of the organizing committee of this program. And most respected our chief guest, Smt Vidya Venkatesh, respected Professor K. Anil Kumar sir, Professor and chief and efficient coordinator of this program, Srimati Kasturi Nagaraj, assistant professor of this institution and an active member of the Forestry Club and also the member of the organizing committee, and Sri N.K. Shashidharan, who is assistant professor of this college, and faculty in charge of the Forestry Club and also the member of the organizing committee, and respected Justice B. Ramakrishnan sir and Srimati Shalini AP, assistant professor, who delivered the welcome speech just before, and Gogul GS, a brilliant student of this institution and who is to deliver the vote of thanks in the session. And my dear colleagues, students, parents, and other dignitaries, and all well-wishers of this institution. As mentioned here by our director, we are celebrating the Wildlife Protection Week from today to 7th October this year through various activities, including webinars attended by eminent naturalists, essay competitions, and other eco-restoration programs. Anyway, this program is blessed with the august presence of our chief guests, the eminent and prominent personality, Srimati Vidya Venkatesh, who will inaugurate this celebration and will speak on the topic from Poachers to protectors. Anyways, our director and Srimati Shalini teacher already introduced our chief guest in a gentle and excellent manner. Actually, there is no need of introducing further, but as a part of this program, I am saying some words about our chief guest. Actually, Smt Vidya Venkatesh, as mentioned here, the inclusive wildlife conservationist and director of the Last Wilderness Foundation, Mumbai, Maharashtra. The Last Wilderness Foundation is an NGO working towards human-animal coexistence. It mainly focuses on empowering local and alternative livelihoods of communities dependent on forests. Actually, Srimati Vidya Venkatesh joined the Last Wilderness Foundation in the year 2011. Before that, she was working for the corporate world for more than a decade. In the year 2010, she gave up her investing banking career to pursue and follow her dreams and passion, and decided to take the wildlife conservation as her career and as her dream job. She was also the director of Kids for Tigers program from May 2010 to April 2010. Thereafter, she joined Last Wilderness Foundation as a director in the year 2011. As mentioned here by our director and Shalini, she is also an avid traveler to forest and to the mountain. She has a special interest in butterflies and takes effort to document their behavior during the field trips. Anyway, we are fortunate to have such an eminent personality to inaugurate this celebration and to speak on the topic from poachers to protectors. I hope she will share her experience, views, and ideas, and also hope that the talk will be an interesting, informative, and interactive one. Thank you. Thank you once again, all of you.
Thank you so much, sir, for acquainting us with today's speaker, Srimati Vidya Venkatesh. Among us, ma'am, Vidya ma'am, among us, we have Honorable Justice K. Ramakrishnan, sir. He is a judicial member of National Green Tribunal. All right. Now, I invite Srimati Vidya Venkatesh, ma'am, Inclusive Wildlife Conservationist and Director, Last Wilderness Foundation, Mumbai, for the inaugural address and to enlighten us on the topic from poachers to protectors.
Thank you so much, and it's a privilege for me to, be a part of this whole celebration and this forum of Kerala Law College. And I am really, really happy also to share the fact that I am in a tiger reserve right now as I speak to you, and which is why there have been certain technical glitches. I'm really extremely sorry for that. I will try to be online as much as possible, and I'm trying to share the presentation since the network is down, but I will make sure that I share all the information that I have, even if the presentation doesn't go online, but I'm going to try to share as much as information as possible. So thank you so much for inviting me on this session. It's a pleasure for me to address the students of the Kerala Law College. And it's been an experience for me that I've been with this organization, Last Wilderness Foundation, for the last 10 years, almost more than 10 years now. It's been a very, very, exciting journey for me. A little bit about what my organization does, which may be interesting for all of you. We have been working in the domain of human-wildlife conflict mitigation, along with the Forest Department of Madhya Pradesh. Most of our work is based out of Madhya Pradesh. So we have been working with the tiger reserves in close partnership with the Forest Department to understand where are the issues of human wildlife conflict, and is there anything that we could do as an NGO on the ground level. Because I know conservation is not a single man's job, it's not a single department's job. It is a whole lot of department and stakeholders that are involved in conservation. However, each of us have a role to play. I think all of us on this forum also have a role to play in a different way altogether. So as we talk through this session today, I am going to try and see if we can all carry back something after the session so that we can all start contributing right away. So sharing the work that we've been doing, we have, really been looking at the community angle from the forest department side and the tiger reserves location to see how we could keep a coexistent or a model of coexistence around tiger reserves. That's been our primary motive. And why we are trying to do that, we come across various communities, some of which I'm going to share on this topic today. We do come across many communities that live around the tiger reserves that are dependent on the forest. They could be either living in the buffer area of a tiger reserve, or they could be living in a territorial area, but they are dependent on the forest in different ways. So one of the very interesting communities that we work with is the Pardhi community. We also work with other communities like the Baiga community, and we will talk about each of them a little bit. So the Baiga community, I don't know if many of you have heard, is one of the particularly vulnerable tribal group communities in central India, and they're also one of the most, I would say, they're still in a very primitive stage in certain areas, and there is a lot of work that the government is already doing, but there is a long way to go for them to get into a mainstream society. So that is one interesting community that we work with. Apart from that, we also work with the Pardhi community. The Pardhi community is another interesting community who is, I would say, infamous, or rather famous from our perspective, they're famous, but in a mainstream society, they've been infamous for hunting wild animals. Now, this is very relevant to today's theme and today's topic, and to the Wildlife Week that you all are celebrating. And the Pardhi community has a major role to play, because one of the interesting incidents that I can narrate to you is that if you have all heard of Panna Tiger Reserve, that is one of the tiger reserves in India, where the tigers went extinct, apart from the other tiger reserve, that is Sariska in Rajasthan. So these are the two tiger reserves in India where the tigers had gone extinct. Now, all the reports, all the investigations, all the committees came up with the conclusion that the Pardhis were responsible for the extinction of tigers in Panna. Post this, the Panna Tiger Reserve and the MP Forest Department decided to reintroduce tigers in Panna. Now, reintroduction of tigers had never happened before, and reintroduction of tigers really means, there's a lot of stake, or there's a lot of risk that is at stake, because tigers is a national animal, and it has the highest protection in Wildlife Protection Act. And if there is a casualty, or if there is a failure of this project, it's going to be a big loss for the country as well. So this is a very big project that was started, or that was actually thought about in around 2007, and that's around the time when the tigers had gone extinct. Suppose that the Forest Department of Madhya Pradesh decided to come up with a plan of action where they could reintroduce tigers in Panna. Now, this reintroduction was going to happen from different locations in Madhya Pradesh, which is Kanha, Bandhavgarh, and Pench. So these were the three tiger reserves from where the relocation was supposed to happen. These relocation strategies were in place. However, there was a very, very important component that had to be focused on, and that was the community part. So without the community being on board with the whole strategy, it wouldn't have been a success story if the forest department had not decided to work with the Pardis who live in Panna forest, who lived in Panna forest at that time. So that was a very interesting, I would say, a turning point for Panna, where the Madhya Pradesh Forest Department decided to engage with the communities, engage with the Pardi community specifically, and talk to them about how we could jointly protect the forest, protect the tigers, even if they are going to be reintroduced. How can we make this a success story? So that was a big challenge that the Forest Department of Madhya Pradesh took on. And the nomadic community or the nomadic tribe, which is the Pardi community, they were actually quite a challenging bunch of people where they lived in the forest. They knew the forest so well that they knew every tree, they knew every turning, they knew every rock that was there inside the forest. The Forest Department of Panna then decided to engage with them, relocate them or resettle them in a place or in a village outside of the park, outside of the core area of the park. And they were given a space inside a village, which is today known as Gandhigram. Now, Gandhigram is a place where it's one of the cluster within the village, and that's where all the Pardis were relocated from Panna Tiger Reserve. Now, it was very, very, challenging also for the forest department to step up and understand as to what can we do with the Pardi community once they are out. So they decided to help them with education. They decided to help them with alternate livelihoods, and they decided to help them with, mainstreaming them or trying to bring them into the mainstream society. I'm sorry, there's a loss of electricity again. Can you still hear me?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay. Is it okay if I keep the video off until I get the light back because it's a power?
Sure thing, ma'am. Sure thing, ma'am.
Okay. So this is where, it was very interesting where the Pardi communities were engaged in education, they were engaged in alternate livelihoods, and they were engaged in trying to mainstream them. Now, just to step back, the Pardi communities were declared as criminal tribes in 1952. And after independence, I think all the criminal tribes that were supposed to, all the tribes that were put into the bracket of criminal tribes were denotified, and they, pretty much were falling under the category of DNT tribes, denotified tribes. However, in spite of doing that, the stigma of being a criminal tribe continued with them, and there was a lot of challenge for the Pardis to get any job. They wouldn't be accepted by the society. And in MP, if you would talk to any, community or any officer, they would not encourage us to work with Pardis because they would say they used to be criminal tribes earlier and they don't seem to have changed pretty much. So that stigma remained. And that stigma, I will talk about it a little later, and which is where I think all of you on this audience will be able to play a role. So, while the stigma remained and they could not easily remove the stigma, there were two hostels built by the Panna Tiger Reserve. And these hostels were catering only to Pardi kids. Pardis were also known by different names. Bahelias. Bahelias were the Pardi subsect who used to travel on Bail. Bail is a bull, or they would travel on cows and bulls, and that's how they would travel from one place to another. So Bail Pardi or Bahelias, they were known as, is one of the subsects of Pardis. The other subsects were Chita Pardi, there was Fase Pardi, and there are many other Pardis, within the Pardi community, there are many other subsects. Bahelias per se were the people who, killed birds for a living, and they would also kill birds for meat eating. And they had very, very good skills on creating traps, on laying the traps, on how to attract the birds and how to trap them. So this was very fascinating. So these Bahelia Pardis were mostly the people who were relocated from Panna Tiger Reserve, and they had been given a space in a village and they lived, there by educating their children in the hostels. The forest department opened one cement pole making factory, and about 20-30 parties were engaged in that factory. However, over a period of time, the factory could not run for long because obviously the marketing strategy, trying to bring in so much of business that all of them could survive for a living, could not happen for long. But even till date, the hostels are running, and we've been supporting the hostels so that the kids get educated. Now, this is where the interesting part comes in, where the children who are being educated in the hostels were available only up to class 8. And that is where our RTE, or right to education, plays a role, where RTE allows the kids, or mandates the kids, not to be failed up to class 8, and hostels are available, the government hostels are available only up to class 8. So there were about 100-200 kids who dropped out of hostel because after 8th standard, there was no place for them to live. And like I mentioned earlier, the parents were nomadic tribes. So the parents would travel, and there was no way that the kids would get educated. So about 200 kids got dropped out of the school and hostel, and they started roaming around the forest once again. And with the parents, with the help of their parents, they would stay away from Panna all the time. So that happened, and when we joined the bandwagon in Panna around 2012-13, we realized that this is not a great model, because they are now getting educated and they are now literate, and they are getting back to the forest, which means now they're going to be a little more technical savvy, tech savvy, and would be literate poachers. They could be a potential literate poacher. So then we started helping them with providing funds and educating these kids up to class 12. Now, the hostels we extended with the help of the education department, with the help of forest department, and a few other donors. We managed to beef up the hostels up to class 12. Now, after class 12, again, we realized that they are not going to be getting jobs after class 12. So how are we going to sustain, or how do we make them sustainable so that they don't get back to poaching? Hence, we decided to get individual sponsorship for individual students and give them a career. So today, I'm very proud to say that in 2021, the first batch of Pardi graduates, have passed out, and we have one girl and one boy who have passed out as graduates. The girl has done Bachelor of Arts, and the boy has done BSc in Agriculture. So they are the proud role models for this community, so that they can show that education can actually change, the family of the Pardis, and they can actually change a whole lifestyle. And both of them are now working. One of them has got a job in one of the agricultural firms, and the girl with the BA degree is now enrolled to educate to study her B.Ed. She wants to become a teacher, and she's already teaching in one of the education centers in Panna. So that's like a role model that we are trying to create, because that can be sustainable. Now, the challenge that we've been speaking about amongst the community of conservationists who know about the Pardis is something that I want to throw a question at all of you, saying there are different teams like the forest department, the police department, the law, the tiger cell. There is a state tiger task force, STF in MP. There are many agencies which help us to stop the poaching or catch hold of poachers. But how do we make this sustainable? Now, that is a big question that I have for all of you, saying after they are sentenced, and after they come out of their punishment period, how do we ensure that they don't get back to poaching? How do we ensure that they don't get back to what they were doing earlier? Because they don't have an option but to start earning a living for their family, but without any other skill set, or for lack of opportunities, they have the challenge of trying to get back to the same lifestyle and the same job that they were doing earlier, because they don't have any other option. So is there something that people would like to suggest or come up with as a brainstorming activity right now on this forum, saying is there activity, or is there a and this is really just a background that I'm going to give you about the Pardis, because this is where we have started working. But I want to know from this audience, saying, is there anything that you think that we could make sustainability with communities and livelihoods as a part of their lifestyle, as a part of the conservation work? And how do we do this? And what are the ideas that you can come up with? I don't know if there is an administrator for the forum, but is there a way that we could get hands up, or can we take the questions from the audience?
Sure thing, ma'am. I will arrange that.
Thank you so much.
They can raise hands if anybody wants to say anything. They can raise hands.
Those who wish to express their points,
Or you can
kindly unmute yourself.
Well, I can say, well, I have a suggestion. We have already experimented that in our Vidya Tiger Reserve.
Okay.
In Vidya Tiger Reserve, we have been having this participation of local communities, hunters who have been hunting and who have been caught and who have been sentenced, and after coming out of jail or even they have been reformed and they have been brought in by involving them in the eco activities. There are two bodies which is called as eco development committees, EDCs, and also we have Vana Samrashana Samadhis, which are on not on wildlife areas. It is they are on territorial areas, territorial forest areas. We call it the Vana Samrashana Samadhi, forest protection councils. And on the other areas, in wildlife areas, we have EDC, eco development committees. So they are involved by in the buffer zones. They encourage a little bit of, especially in Periyar Tiger Reserve, in the buffer zones we encourage small forms of tourism like nature trekking, then nature tiger trail like that. They also forest producers are brought. A lot of activities, eco activities are done only in the buffer areas, the fringe areas, and there these people are involved, wherein they also earn a lot. It's also a place where a lot of tourists come. So we call it here in Kerala the Periyar model. And Periyar model, I don't know whether it has got national recognition or not. But because people like Ullas Karams, who are very famous in this area, have not come to our place and have not given it national importance. Otherwise, Periyar model would have been one of the best which could be projected at the national level. So the publicity at the national level, whether we are having it or not, we don't know. But in Paramikulam also the same thing is being introduced. In almost all areas, forest areas, we are trying to bring in local community participation through eco development committees or Vana Samrashana Samadhis, wherein they can earn through tourism in fringe areas where more forest is brought in and people are encouraged to take people. That is how they are also earning. So when once from the forest itself, from these areas you are getting money and it becomes sustainable because they don't have to go back to hunting. And some of them have been taken inside the forest department as watchers. And we find that the forest department finds that these people, some of these hunters, the former hunters or former poachers, they make the best watchers because they know each and every nook and they know who to be, how to suspect, whom to be careful, how to apprehend. So hunting is almost nil after these people are coming to the force as watchers. So that is there also they get daily, they also get a stable income, wherein they also feel proud they are part of the forest force. This is what we have from our experience in Kerala, especially from the Kerala Forest Department, I can see. This is my experience from my association with the Forest Department.
That's brilliant, sir. That's really brilliant. I would like to add a lot to this, what you're saying. And definitely your model, which is running in Periyar and Paramikulam, I mean, I have witnessed it personally as well. But it is very well known and it is definitely something that can be replicated across the country and should be. And it is, I'm sure, something that a lot of people look up to. And I'm going to...
We have staff of the Forest Department as watchers, official staff.
Right.
They are official watchers of the Forest Department. They are employees of the Forest Department now. And some of them are hunter turned now. What do we call as employees?
Right.
So
right.
Former poachers or former hunters, and they are very effective also. We find the Forest Department is so much appreciative of them. And may I know, madam, in which tiger reserve you are right now?
I am in Bandhavgarh.
Bandhavgarh. This is Rajasthan.
Yes. No, this is Madhya Pradesh.
Madhya Pradesh, Bandhavgarh.
Yes, close to Katni.
Not Radha. I thought Radha.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for your inputs on the model that has been running in Paramikulam and Periyar tiger reserves. Is there anybody else who thinks about, or who thinks there is a solution or an option that we can think about for somebody who has been a poacher, and how do we give them a sustainable living?
Good evening, madam. I am Chandrasekhar. I am also a serving forest officer. Of course, I belong to Forest Department of Kerala, but I am now on deputation outside the state.
Good evening.
My take on the subject will be something like this. If you can develop the skill set of these, community, of this particular community, skill set, what I would mean is like developing the various functional skills apart from their forest dependent skills. Like maybe I understand that from my recent trips in Odisha, Jharkhand, and Chhattisgarh, which are adjacent to these places, of course, Maharashtra, a lot of mining activities are going on, and a lot of companies, both public and private enterprises, are thriving. And I find that a lot of contractual work. Now the country is moving from the regular stream of worker system to the contractual type of worker system, wherein a lot of workers are being taken for their specific skills. If the skills of these communities can be developed through some targeted approach, I think in the long run, that will do a lot of good to the community and also to the industries in and around that area. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Chandrasekhar sir is IFS, and he was CCF of Kerala, CCF in Kerala. Now should be additional principal.
I am now, sir, I am now in
Navy. I know.
Chief Vigilance Officer.
Chief Vigilance Officer.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your inputs. That's something which is very, very doable, and it's definitely something which is practical to do. I would like to hear from more people, because the challenge that we've come across is that we of course need more people to be working in trying to make this a more sustainable and a preventable activity than trying to just stop the poaching. Definitely that's a very important component, trying to stop them and punish the due about what they've done, and send out a message. But at the same time, there have been instances where the poacher who has been caught has also confessed to the officers, saying if there is a reformation activity that is available for us, we would like to get enrolled and we would like to get involved in that while he is still serving his sentence. So those have been instances that we have come across, and which is very heartbreaking to know that he's still serving his sentence and he wants to change, but there is very little that we are able to do to kind of help every family that is involved into this kind of an activity. So, what more do we think we could do?
Madam, two people have raised hands. One is please unmute them. Joby Jose, sure. Then there is Mr. Krishnan. Both have first unmute Joby Jose.
Good evening, ma'am. My name is Joby Jose. Ma'am, that Madhavgarh, this Madhya Pradesh, I think it is spotted for the white tigers. I think the poachers are not hunting this, I think, the white tigers. So for the past 50 years, I think nobody has spotted any white tigers in that region. So how you are supporting the local communities in preserving these white tigers in Madhavgarh area in Madhya Pradesh?
Okay, so I'll come to that point also, but just as a quick answer, there was a last white tiger which was shot, like you mentioned, about 50 years back, but there has been no white tiger after that. But of course, to protect the rest of the tigers, not just white tigers, there are many steps taken by the forest departments and the NGO. So we'll come to that as well, on how we are trying to do it. Maybe I can learn some things from more people in this forum, and I can also share what we are doing. But yes, somebody else was also raising their hand, so let's just take the question.
Sir, kindly unmute yourself, sir.
Yeah, right. Good evening, ma'am. My name is Krishnan, final year student. And the question of poaching, be it a tiger or the rhino in Kaziranga or whichever, The main problem is that there is always a demand. So the demand has to be stopped so that the poachers don't have any other choice but to enroll into reformation systems. That is not happening as long as people want to buy the tooth and the skin of a tiger. As long as the market or the black market still remains, it would go on. Like however much you try to bring them to a normal state, because what happens is if they are enrolled into a normal working system, the kind of pay they get is like maybe 1/100 of what they get for one skin or probably the basic stuff. So the external side, not inside the forest, the outside demand should be curtailed by some means, whichever the governmental organizations are responsible for curtailing such sale or the demand. That would actually bring down the need for poaching by these people, and that would force them to get into a kind of say reformation.
Absolutely, that's a brilliant point you've brought up, saying that if the demand can be curbed, then obviously there's going to be a change in the number of animals being poached. But let's look at the fact that if there is no demand, and let's hypothetically assume there's no demand, how are we going to work with these poachers to get back to mainstream, or how do we make it more sustainable for them to survive? That's the most important question. Saying, yes, let's assume the demand has stopped today. How do
yes,
we?
yeah. I'd like to add one point on that, because if you look at the fishing sector, many places, the fishing has been changed to game fishing.
Right.
So if we can actually turn them into, let's say, not poaching, maybe a game hunting, not a hunting at all, but a game hunting training center. There are a lot of people who are enthusiasts who would like to learn that. Not to do it on a negative side, like if you take the computer side, we have hacking on the white hat side. So similarly, if there is a game hunting where it is not actually killing the animal, but just the pleasure of being inside the forest and doing these activities, they can be the best trainers for doing that.
True, absolutely true. I agree, completely agree. And we could put more thought into how we could get that. That's a great idea. If we could use the skills for a similar activity, which is non-harmful basically to the animals, is what you're suggesting.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Krishan. That was a great idea. And we have a couple more hands I see there.
Good evening. I am Justin, final year student, also working in forest department, ma'am. Can you hear, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes,
Sir.
You're audible.
He is Digital Forest Officer, Assistant Conservator of Forest, and DFO.
And good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, only one thing I wish to flag that while dealing with the poachers,
right,
the main problem I could identify is that they may be accused in different or various poaching cases. To deal with the court and all, they again and again continue to go for hunting. That is one of the main problem I can flag, ma'am, in this regard.
Yes, I completely agree, and I'll share what we are currently going through as recent as day before yesterday. Yes, you're right, because once they get caught and they have to go through the judiciary system to make the payment to take on the expenses of going through the legal case, I think they have to get more money generated from somewhere, and they end up poaching more. So that is kind of an issue I see, and it's a vicious cycle that I don't know how we could stop, and that's definitely a problem. We could work on that as well.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for flagging that off.
Yes.
Somebody else also raised their hands.
Nitin?
Yeah, hi, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Ma'am, my name is Nitin Prakash. So I'm a professional social worker. So I was dealing with the Irula tribes in Chennai.
Right.
So there is a crocodile park, and mainly these Irula tribes are known for their snake charming and forest good collection. So there is a snake extraction centers there in the crocodile bank and there. So if we make it legalized somehow in the government-oriented institutions, then this poaching can be reduced. And also, like the Mr. Krishnan said, like if we make it in a legalized way, then this can be limited, right?
Well, I don't know if we can make poaching as legal. That would be
not like that, ma'am. Like not simply killing it after its death or something, like collection.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very tricky situation to keep a control or keep a tab on that, because we don't know when it's going to slip between between the rules and regulations.
Yeah.
It's quite a challenge, but yes, I mean, I understand what you're saying whatever skills they have, or what today is termed as, I mean, see, historically they were hunting, it wasn't called poaching. But the hunting skills, when the kings and the Britishers were around, when the the communities were helping them to kill animals and hunt animals, it was a sport. But eventually, with Wildlife Protection Act, obviously it became illegal. And when they continued with the same skill, when they continued with the same rigor, there was no change in what they were doing, but our law changed. And with that, the hunting word became into poaching, got converted to poaching, because then we, looked at it saying they were making this or they were doing this for money. But they've never changed their habit, or they've never changed their activity. So they've always been doing the same. Our laws have changed, and which has changed for good, of course. I mean, the Wildlife Protection Act is definitely a very important one, which is needed. But obviously, how do we can't legalize the activities that they've been doing, but we need to find a way where their activities do not harm and do not engage with Wildlife Protection Act. They don't need to engage with Wildlife Protection Act. That would be an option, I would think.
Yeah, ma'am, and also adding to that, I think like mostly when it came to poachers, the tribes are getting affected, not the real poachers or someone.
True, the ground level communities.
Yeah, because they are the easy prey or something. So if the so-called poachers, nowadays, if we observe the scenario in India, the so-called poachers are not getting caught. So if there is something happen, they will get some tribal person and they will force to accept that they done that, and they will be going into the jail or bars. So
Right,
even though the rules are strict or something, I don't think that the proper ones are getting caught.
True. Well, that is again, a different topic where I think a lot of people in this audience would want to debate and fight, as saying how this whole situation arises when some poacher is caught, or when there is a poaching case that comes in and there is an investigation that happens. I think there are multiple solutions or multiple ways that it gets worked on. So yeah, I mean, that is one way of trying to cut the demand, like somebody mentioned, saying we need to cut the demand, and of course catch hold of the culprit, of the real culprit, and accuse and make him the accused, than trying to put the blame on somebody else.
Ma'am, we have Kasturi Nagaraj, ma'am. Kindly unmute and put forward your point.
Okay, thank you, Gokul. Hi, ma'am.
Hello,
what I feel is we should give more employment opportunity to the community, the tribal people. That is, employment means in the sense that in the forest department itself. Because now what we see that people are getting employed, they may be, of course, there are some criteria to giving employment. That is, say, the guard or whatever the category is. But I think they are the tribal people. They are more equipped, or they know how to survive in the forest. Because if like a person like me, if I am taken and as a guard, I am being appointed in the forest, of course, there may be training, but I am not accustomed to it more. So giving them more opportunity. Another thing is they are entering into all these criminal activities, mainly because of poverty, because they need money. And then there is no hunting. So many of their rights have been curtailed in the name of like protecting the forest and wildlife. Definitely there is poverty. So when somebody is giving them more money, they will have to, for their survival, they will have to move in that side. So it's giving them more opportunity, like starting small scale industries, or like we can say the eco lodge. There are some facilities like that. So giving them, educating them, and making them involved in all those activities, I think we can reduce their misery. At the same time, they will be more keen to protect the forest. Of course, they love forest, they belong there. They love the animals more than the city people, I feel. So giving them more opportunity, involving them more, especially in the forest department. So I think it will be definitely helpful hand for them, for our forest also.
Absolutely, that's a great thought, and I think that is what will help also in trying to use their skills, not let go of their traditional knowledge. and engage them into activities that can be beneficial to the society. So I think that's a great thought and idea that you've put forth. What I'm also going to do is now try and share a document that I've managed to transfer to my phone. Gokul, just let me know if this is visible, because I have just managed to transfer the PPT onto my phone. Is this visible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You are visible.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
All right.
So I'm sorry for, again, the technical issues, and I've managed to get this on phone. So I will, since I've covered a lot of points already through what we spoke, and thank you for all the inputs, I am just going to browse through a lot of the information that we just shared, and then get to the point on how we have been working with this community, the Pardi community specifically. So, if you had Googled about Pardis a few years back, about 5, 7, 10 years back, you would find news articles which would say, Pardi tribe termed as the biggest threat to wildlife, and Pardi poachers. At the back, you'll see some Fase Pardi news articles. So that is what we always knew about the Pardis. That's all we knew about the Pardis. But thanks to this initiative, that the forest department had started, this is the information that we then gathered, saying they are criminal tribes. They were criminal tribes, as per the 1871 Act. And in 1952, they got denotified. So this is where they moved from being criminal tribes to being denotified. The fact is, today, some districts, so it's a district-wise distribution in MP. I don't know how it works in Kerala, but in MP, it's a district-wise distribution, where the Pardis have been given a DNT status, and some of them, very few of them have been given DNT status. The others are currently in the general category, which is really sad, because it does not help them in any ways. Though the DNT category also does not have too many privileges, it helps them to get a hostel, a tribal hostel. It helps them to get a scholarship, and that's all they get. So they don't get any other facilities or or a quota or jobs, but that's the only thing that they get, which is a hostel facility and the scholarship for education, 50% scholarship. Okay, so DNT and general is one of the biggest challenges currently that we are facing. So they are a nomadic community. We've already spoken about that. So, okay. Sorry, we've already spoken about, they started hunting with the Maharajas, who have used them as trackers during hunting time. That is how the Pardis started hunting. And the hunting continued as an occupation for the Pardis until in Panna, the tigers went extinct. That was like an alarm for many of us. So, like I mentioned, reintroduction of tigers started in 2009 in Panna. That was a very, very difficult decision that was taken by the department. The first step that they had to do was resettling of the Pardi families, because without this, the reintroduction would have been a failure. They would have reintroduced tigers, and the Pardis would have continued hunting inside the forest because they lived in the forest. But resettling of the Pardi families was one of the biggest steps. Engaging with the community was important. So, the hostels that are there, you see the first top left picture, that's the hostel where the kids are there. Some of these kids who are there, and this picture is about 8 years old. Some of them are married and they have kids now. And we'll also show you that there are child marriage issues with this community as well. So, of course, we had to engage with them. We had to engage with the women, and we had to really mingle with them. Being a female, it was very comfortable for us to engage with the females of this tribe, because the females are quite aggressive. The Pardi females, they can be quite vocal, and they are very smart. So engaging with them was one very important step that we realized later that we could work with. Traditional forest knowledge was something that they already had, like a few of you already mentioned. This is something that we thought we could tap on and we could work with. So traditional forest knowledge is something that they had in abundance. They were also, very keen to get their kids educated. So it wasn't just us who were trying to change them, but the community themselves were very keen to change their next generation children. So that was, very important for us to convince the parents saying that send your kids for schooling and send your kids for education, because we realized some of these parents would come back to us saying, ma'am, we would send our kids, but what are you going to give us in return? Those were kind of conversations that we've had with them, saying, what if we send our kids to you, what will we get in return? Because they are our source of income. They're going to earn for us, but if we send them to hostels, we're not going to get any income. So how do we, work around that? So education was one of the tools that we had used. Today, you see some of these children are graduated. We have Pushpendra Pardhi, Vikrant Pardhi, who have finished their BSc Agriculture. We have two of these girls who have little kids now, but they are doing their BA. And one of the other girls who has a kid is running a shop right now in Panna. This girl in the center with the black dupatta, she is a BA graduate who has applied for B.Ed and she wants to study further. The girl above that in yellow uniform playing sports, she's excellent in kabaddi and she's excellent in sports. So sports was another option that we had and we do have, where we're trying to see if we can make a career, because their stamina and their physical strength in playing sports is very, very good, and that could be a very good opportunity that we could engage them in. So we tried to work with this community, engage with them, talk with them, explore so many things that we earlier didn't know about. And of course, to do that, we had to, mingle with them, be part of their culture. So whenever we would go to their houses, we had to eat food. I'm a vegetarian and they're hardcore non-vegetarian meat eaters. But of course, they were very, very compassionate to ensure that, me as a vegetarian and my colleagues who were non-vegetarian would get different food while we were working with them. So they were very compassionate. As we got close to them, we understood that. And if you see, we also went with them to the forest. They knew Panna tiger reserve at the back of their hand. The gorge that they're standing in, that's one of the Seha, that is one of the gorges of Panna, most beautiful gorges of Panna. And they knew every nook and corner. They were showing us points where they would have hidden otherwise when they lived in the forest. That's how well they knew the park. They would show us the pug marks that were around, this area. And they also had very good carving skills, we figured out. So we thought we'd try and tap all of those. At the same time, we partnered with Taj Safaris to see if their tracking skills, their knowledge about the forest can be used to make them into guides. And like Professor Nagarajan just mentioned, this was another activity that we started in Panna as well, not just in Periyar and Paramikulam, but we started this in Panna as well, where we thought we could use them as guides, as nature guides, and they're brilliant with forest knowledge. So Taj Safaris helped us to train them, and this is how raw they were. You can really see them. Some of them have tambakus and gutkas in their mouth, but this is how raw they were. This is where we started off our training with. This is one of the general managers of Taj Safaris, and he was so patient in trying to listen to the stories from the Pardis, that their stories may not have been scientific, but they were very interesting because they had a logic to everything, and they would tell us how they would identify, how they would do this. So all of that was very interesting for us, and we thought that could also make a very good story for the tourists who would be coming to the park. So we listened to them very, very peacefully, carefully. And post the training, you see, this was a transformation. After the training, we managed to transform them into some brilliantly reformed guides. And the reformation is not in terms of knowledge, because we didn't want to touch the knowledge. However, right or wrong it could have been, we wanted that knowledge to be as it is. We really just wanted to help them with understanding the hospitality component, and the greetings, the welcome, the how you would stand when you explain about a tree or a shrub, and so on and so forth, and how you would speak politely to a tourist guide or tourist guest. Those are the things that we really trained them on. We didn't want to touch their knowledge base at all. And yes, that of course brought us a little bit of success. You can see this girl who was trained as a Pardi guide, got absorbed by the Taj Safari, and she works as a naturalist in Taj Safari Kanha. And you can see some of the other people here. They're all trained as naturalists now, and they work in a couple of different places. Of course, we train about 15 to 20 people, and many of them still are living in Panna, and they take tourist guides, guests out on nature walks. So the Walk with the Pardi program started about 3 years back, based on all the training that we managed to give them. It was an exciting activity because Panna has so much to offer. But apart from safaris, there was nothing that was being explored, and this could give them an opportunity for the tourists and for the Pardis to make it a win-win situation. So while the Walk with the Pardis started off, we realized that more and more guests love to listen to the stories because they had so much to talk about. They had so much to share about, apart from just the pug marks and track marks and the plant knowledge, that they wanted to spend more time with the Pardis. And this request came into us saying, can we spend like a whole day with them? Can we spend like a night with them? And that is when we started thinking about an idea which is known as camping with the Pardis. And this year, as we speak, this is the first year, and October 1st, which was yesterday, we managed to launch a program known as Camping with the Pardis, where the Pardis would help the guests pitch their own tents, and they would give them an experience of living in a forest in a tented accommodation. These are temporary accommodation, these are not permanent accommodations, but they would pretty much give them an experience of how a Pardi would live in a forest. So that was what we wanted to replicate and give as much as close experience to the tourists as possible. And they love doing this because they love being outdoors. They love being in the forest. Also, we understood over a period of time that the Pardis did not like working as a job, or they would not like to take up jobs under any boss or under any supervisor, because they don't like taking instructions and orders. So that was part of their culture and tradition, because they consider themselves to be descendants of Rajputs, whereby they already have, a character of their own, and they didn't like taking orders. They would just leave the job and get out of the place, and they would say, chuck it, we don't want to work here. So that's all it needed. It just needed half a minute for them to leave the job and get back. So we realized that that's not a good option for us to give them jobs unless they opted for it themselves voluntarily. So we didn't force them to get into jobs, because Panna does have a lot of resorts. The resort people have been very cooperative, but we haven't forced anyone to get into jobs really. This was another option which came as a pleasant surprise to us, where the e-rickshaws have come up, and we have experimented it with one of the Pardis. It's been 1 year now. We invested 50% of the amount, and we took a loan of 50% as an EMI from the rickshaw vendor. And this boy, Biran Pardi, has managed to not only repay the loan within, I think, about 9 months. He managed to repay the loan, but he is also earning about 600 to 700 rupees a day even today. So as on last week, we are very happy to announce that we managed to get another rickshaw for one of the other Pardi members. And that's a young boy, Sumar Pardi, and he has also started riding a rickshaw in Panna. So this we thought was a great option, because they could do this at their own sweet time whenever they wanted, and they're their own boss. They're an independent employee of their own. So again, this has worked very well for us as well. Another thing that worked for us was small businesses like vegetable vendor shop and ration shop, because that is where they would, we gave them the initial seed money, and they have managed to kind of replicate, or rather increase the money over a period of time. And they started buying more and more things. This is how this girl, Sumaran Pardi, who was a dropout from the school because Sumaran could not cope up with her studies. She is not very good with studies, and not all the kids are. So we looked for other options for her, and she was, she has a kid now, of course, you can see the child in her hand, but she manages to run this little shop, vegetable shop, and she's very happy to take care of the child and run the shop. Another brilliant option that we figured out was running a poultry farm, or helping them set up poultry farms, because not only that they loved, eating chicken and meat and stuff, but they also were very passionate about rearing them. And this has worked out very well. So we've managed to set up 2 families with a poultry farm, and they are able to get decent amount of profit out of it, and they could reinvest it and grow them over a period of time. Of course, there are improvement areas here, because I think the breed of the chicken, the style, the way they would rear them and stuff like that can be improvised, because they're not in a very hygienic environment right now. But over a period of time, we are hoping that we could help them with some training, some more logistical support, so that they can make it into a very, very viable option. But this is something that they're very interested in, and being meat eaters and chicken lovers, they kind of think that this is feasible. They sell it very easily because they know who are the buyers. They've always sold meat to their villagers, so they know who are the typical buyers. And this has helped. Again, we've tied up with a few resorts, and they have promised to buy the chicken from the Pardis, which will be a CSR initiative for them. It's again a win-win situation for both the community and the the hoteliers. Now, these are some of the beautiful souvenirs that they make. Now, the vertical sticks that you see, those are the teeter whistle. Teeter whistle is something where teeter is a partridge in English. So the partridges were being trapped by the Pardis when they used to live in the forest, because I think they would like kind of eat it, or they would sell it. A pair would sell for like $300. So they would, lay a trap. They would use this whistle to attract the partridges. And once the partridges get attracted, they would get stuck onto the trap that these guys have laid. So these guys are brilliant. I mean, they're just brilliant with their trapping skills. And of course, these, carving that you see on the beads, they're like aretha seeds, the aretha that we use for the soap nut. They look like that. They're not exactly the soap nut seed, but they look like that, and they do some brilliant carving on them. So you can see all kind of motifs like pug marks and snakes and antlers and deer and porcupine. You name it from the forest of central India, and you have it on there. So they have been really good with this. So we have tried to use this skill and made souvenirs out of it. These two souvenirs are available online now. It's been again 3 years, and we managed to make it sustainable. They are known by the name of teeter whistle and hand carved Pardi beads. So these are available online, and anybody can purchase it. It's nice. And plus, if you see on the top where the workshop is being conducted, the tourists can also avail of a workshop where the Pardis can teach them how to make these souvenirs. So this has worked out very well for us. Again, like I mentioned, involving women was a very important component. Thankfully, being women, we didn't have any challenge to break ice with them, and we could pretty much enter their kitchens and work with them, make chai with them, and have a chat with them. That was very important, because involving women meant that the men also were allowed to work, because otherwise the women usually don't trust the men regarding what they're doing, and they would keep pulling them back in any job that they would get into. So involving women and giving them the same responsibility made them realize the importance of the job. That has also helped us. So we have women, all of these are women guides, by the way. They are all trained as guides, nature guides. So all of these women, all these girls, young girls, are now conducting Walk with the Party program for the guests. We have some beautiful feedback from the guests. I'm not going to dwell too much on them. You can see the Facebook page called Walk with the Pardis. You can find these on them. But they're very encouraging feedbacks that we've got, where some people have also written saying it was worth missing a safari, a tiger safari, and coming for the walk. So that's been, very interesting, fascinating feedback that we've received. The positive turn, after a decade of work, the forest minister felicitated the older child who was being educated, the older boy, Vikrant Pardi. The forest minister of MP has, felicitated him. On the lower bottom left, you see the Pardis have got Sanctuary Award in Bombay. They managed to come to Bombay. These are the first few Pardis who left their traditional hunting practice, and they decided to become caretakers in a hostel for the Pardis. So they got an award for this from Sanctuary Asia. The boy who's reading out in a forum called Nature in Focus in Bangalore, that's one of the biggest forums for wildlife enthusiasts, wildlife conservationists, and he managed to be on stage. And he spoke about his community on stage, creating awareness for, amongst all of us. And again, Vikrant Pardi got another award from Save Us as well. So these are the little positive stories that now when you Google on, about Pardis, you will find some of these positive news, which is very important for us to change the mindset of, mainstream society. Alternative lifestyle sanctuary has covered it. Outlook Responsible Tourism has covered Walk with the Pardis. Mahila Bai was covered in Mint magazine, saying meet the woman who's taking her tribe from hunting to homework, and she's crucial for the education of the kids. Kheer and Mahila Bai Pardhi, got the award. And Hunting for a Better Future, that was an article covered by National Geographic Traveler in India. And these are the platforms which has helped us give an exposure to the programs that we are running. And of course, after all of these efforts, now today we are very proud to say that Panna has about 75 plus tigers. Thanks to the success of the model, not just the Pardhi model, of course, the forest department has taken tremendous effort in reintroducing tigers. But without the work with the Pardhis, this would not have been possible. It would have been, it could have taken a disastrous turn. It could have become another Sariska model. But right now, Panna is the only model in the entire world which has proved that tigers can be reintroduced successfully and they can breed successfully when reintroduced. So this has become a world model right now. And I'm proud to say that the Pardhis have been one of the stakeholders in the success of Panna. And, that is where we are trying to expand this whole program, not just to Panna, but replicate these models in other national parks and other tiger reserves, because this is a very, very replicable model. And we could really look at a chain of these walks. And like Mr. Nagaraj also mentioned about the Permaculum and Periyar model, we could have such a chain of walks, nature walks, or interesting tribal walks, or whatever we can call it, across India, because a lot of foreigners who come to India are interested in listening to these stories of the tribal communities who've been into the forest and who are, who know so much about the forest. Also, I'm unable to share one little video that I wanted to share, but the Pardhis are also brilliant mimics, and they can make calls of tigers, of leopards, of wild boars excellently similar to the real animals. There is a little movie that got released on RG Sustain website on how the Pardhis have become protectors of the forest. So if possible, I can share the link with you on one of these groups later, whenever y'all are when it's possible. But that's a nice movie which got released yesterday for Wildlife Week. I thought I could share the movie with you today, but unfortunately it's not downloadable on my phone right now. It's not downloaded, it's available on YouTube. I'll try and share the link on chat as we speak. So that's all, and I would like to open the floor for more questions if somebody would like to know more about the work.
Maybe I could say Rameshan sir can maybe 2 words, 1 or 2 words.
Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity here. As Chief Ratnagar, robber can become a Valmiki. I don't think that it is difficult to make the poachers as protectors also. The only thing is nobody born as a criminal. The very circumstances made them to become criminals. So corrective mechanism of bringing them to the front line will also help to some extent. And I find from the video clipping, etc., I thought that a lot of work is being done by the volunteers also on these aspects. So one thing that you can do is, what I feel from my experience as a green bench judge and also dealing with the forest officials and people who are dealing with these aspects. One thing is that they tap the traditional knowledge and utilize for a better purpose, which will become a positive thinking for them to earn also. In that way, you can detract from the original activity and come to a practical activity, so that will be helpful for them. One. Secondly, instead of, as Vidya Venkatesh has said, they may not be interested in working in somebody else as a boss, accept anybody as a boss. So provide them an opportunity of become boss for themselves by providing small shops or other activities which they can able to utilize it. See, when I went to Mudumalai and the forest areas, I find that the ecotourism has become a part of the forest system now. A lot of traditional folk arts are available among the tribal people that can be promoted, and that if that is being exhibited as a performance in to the ecotourism results and other thing, that will be an income for them. So this is one way where, see, if you see the Nagaland other area, most of the tribal people have their own typical folk dances and folk arts. If that is developed as a culture or a cultural program, that will give them an opportunity to expose their capability of promoting their culture, retaining their culture, and also spreading their culture, so that will be an income for them also. And that will, and if we promote those people in a scientific manner or in a technological manner, or providing them a seasonal, what I can say, that practice to convert into a traditional thing, to educational thing, then that also will help them to, just like Carnatic music being adopted by giving them training and other thing, making them good singers. Just like that, the folk tribe, the culture also can be possible, so that will give them some exposure. That will give them some exposure, and that they can come to the mainstream, but as other people also, if their culture is also being accepted. So these are all the areas where, and also give them more, as many of the speakers have said, or the persons have said, give them more opportunity to the forest itself, because they are in fact, the tribal people are lovers of the forest. They'll never want to destroy forest because they know the value of the forest. But as many of them have said, understood, that the skill has been misutilized for some other purposes. Once that culture has gone, then it become a criminal. They have no other opportunity but become criminals. So instead of that, using that skills for a better purpose will help in making them what do you call as the poachers to protectors. They can be a best person who can do better. And once, because as in the Madhya Pradesh and other thing, I don't think that there is no notified criminals in other forest areas here at in Kerala and also Tamil Nadu and the southern states. I don't think that such a notified criminals, and they have to denotify them. And society also must understand, must have the mindset to accept those people who are coming for reformation and provide them an opportunity to reform themselves. And education is a better thing which can reform much. And for, as you have rightly said, when I interacted with the tribal people, whenever I'm going for the tribal colony, the women are more interested in providing education to the children. Men are more laziest persons. They want to make money by other methods. And they are the persons, the women are the persons who are working also. They want to educate the children. They themselves are working in a better way and earn money also. And I think in one of the areas where I went in Todupuzha, where I find that the child marriage is not available with them. They are more concerned about the age, 21 and 18. They are maintaining it. I really I'm surprised to understand that they are more concerned about the age for marriage. They never they promote the child marriage. So there are people who are there are certain type of tribal community which maintain this culture and other thing. And we will have to tap. And also one thing we can do is the Biological Diversity Act provides a lot of benefit sharing schemes. If the traditional knowledge of the tribal people can be utilized in a scientific manner for the purpose of tapping their knowledge for commercial purpose, I think that some extent it may be helpful for them to provide income, and that will give them a more opportunity to forgo their earlier activities and come for a better activities. This is my suggestion for you people to consider.
Thank you
very
so
much
much
for making an opportunity.
Thank you so much, Justice Ramakrishnan Iyer, sir. You have done a wonderful contribution to this particular meeting. Now we will have a feedback session. Those who wish to put their questions or queries may unmute yourself and ask them.
Gokul, may I make a point to Justice Ramakrishnan also?
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Yes.
Kindly.
Sir, thank you so much for your inputs, and it's very, very valuable because you are sitting on the other side of the table, and it's very interesting and important for us to understand when we work with communities on how we could really bring them to a sustainable point where they transform themselves and do not get back. Some challenges, sir, that we faced over the years, like I was mentioning last month, unfortunately, we've had 3 of these students who have never lived in the forest. They've always lived in the hostel, and 2 of which who were graduating. 3 of them were caught by the police very unfortunate. I think it was an issue where in the village there were some other notorious people who have conned a few businessmen, and the police had to come and make a raid in the village. They ended up catching hold of some 20 odd Pardis, out of which 3 of them are the students who are getting educated. Within 24 hours, there was a case against them. By the time I could make phone calls from Bombay to understand what was happening, why they were caught, there were cases against them, and the cases were, very, very unpleasant, where they were put for the liquor, the poisonous liquor. So liquor making as tribes, I think that probably would have been the easiest way to put a case on them. I guess so. That's what I hear over a period of time. I've not been from the field of law, but that's what I hear. I'm still struggling to get them out on bail, and I don't know if I will get bail for all of them. One of them managed to get a bail yesterday. Two of them are yet to get bail. But it's very sad to know that these kids are going to go back into a very, very sad demotivation mode. And I just don't know what to answer them when they come out and tell me, why are we behind bars for more than a month? And they now need to fight a case. So this is a very, I would say, challenging situation where the police, and I made multiple phone calls, including the PS, including the SP, everybody, that whole night. And we've been trying to still get them out. But all the officials, apart from the forest department, of course, the other officials have this belief, very strong belief, saying they're all criminals. They can't be let loose. And they just didn't understand the fact that these kids are being educated, these kids have changed, they've reformed. So I understand that it's a failure on our part, that the awareness that is being created about this community is probably not enough amongst the other stakeholders. I don't think forest department is the only stakeholder in reformation of a community. I think there is a lot more role to be played by many other stakeholders. And how do we get them on board? How do we make them a stakeholder of the reformation program?
No, madam. Now the question is not that, because we do not know. I do not know what the facts of the case,
Right.
because we do not know
Sure.
whether there is involvement of these people, because more educated people from that community can utilize their knowledge for the illegal purposes also. That cannot be ruled out. But I don't say that that is a uniform necessity must be there. But that depends upon the case. I do not know.
Right.
But the only thing that can be possible is always the prisons have become supposed to be the correction schools.
Right.
You are not, the earlier it was part of the punishment. But now it has become a reformatory this thing, whereby you are correction mechanism is going on. So as far as possible, we can able to grade the people in one way or other and put them in the right channel. I don't think that the possibility of reformation will not be come also. One. Secondly, the awareness program must be there for the purpose of all the stakeholders who are dealing with the so-called criminals. I can say only so-called criminals.
Right.
Because the forest also comes under the forest people also doing some investigation and doing the arrest and putting them in jail and other thing. And this type of offenses normally being promoted among the tribals by the non-tribal people, because we cannot rule out the possibility of involving those, because these people are so much amenable to do certain work for getting narcotic or the alcoholic thing. That is happening in the tribal community. And that is a main complaint that we are getting whenever I'm interacting with the tribal people, when I go the opportunity of going to the forest to stay for some time. The main complaint is male are the amenable for such type of bad activities, and for that these people are being misutilized by the other people also. So we will have to segregate those people from the company of those people and provide them a safe home. Right. Once that is provided, I don't think that they can go back. And right. The reformation is required among themselves also. They must have the mindset to reform also. The person to be reformed also must cooperate for this purpose. Unless he holds the same criminal mentality for using his knowledge for criminal activity, then he will be a more dangerous criminal then. Right. He will be a more dangerous criminal. So this is an area where we'll have to strike a balance. We can't say how we can transform them. You will have to decide. Only this thing is counseling, and too much of counseling, making go on persistent counseling, and make them to understand their role in the society, what they can provide for the forest. make them understand that they are the protectors of forest, because the forest was once upon a time their livelihood. Once that they understood, then I think that that can be possible. One, again, the what do you call, the Abkari officers, police officers, and the narcotics cell people, all those people can also be coordinated with the forest people to make them understand these are the persons who are trying to transform themselves from the original activity to the normal activity.
Correct.
If they can track these people and also supervise these people or invigilate these people from their angle also, any person who is going out of this and going to the clutches of the persons who are likely to be misuse these people can be prevented. So this is the only thing I can only say. When you are giving them an education, give them, put them the watch of the other department people also, then their mindset about these people will change, because they are the persons who are studying, they are children, they are being given education, and one thing also can be done, the persons who have been trained by you and put in a better position in the society because of their activity, they can come back to the society itself and say that how we are able to be being respected by others. So that will be a motivation for others to bring more people to the fold. This is one thing.
That's the entire idea, sir. That's how we are trying to create role models. This has been one of the hurdles in creating the role models.
Maybe because challenges will be, because it's very difficult to maintain the mindset of those people themselves also.
Right. So,
only as you rightly said, the women folk among themselves can educate them, and they can take a role to reform their male folk also. That is the only thing possible.
True. Thank you so much, sir, for your input. Sorry, Gokul, you can go ahead with the questions. And thank you so much. This is a brilliant discussion.
Sure, ma'am. So if there is anybody else who wish to clarify their doubts, kindly raise them.
Mr. Sunil Krishna has shown his hand. Mr. Sunil Krishna has shown his hand. He is unmuted. Sunil Krishna.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, ma'am, and good evening, all the dignitaries. Myself, Sunil. I'm a police officer by profession. I have been listening to all the dignitaries. In fact, the basic reason or the main reason for poaching or all these illegal activities is still our tribal people. They are very resistant to come to the mainstream. That is what my observation. Even if you provide them jobs, they don't stick to the job. They don't want to be in the mainstream. And they always want to return to their that environment, forest environment, basically. Second reason is that all the males, they have been trapped or they have been exploited by other people, non-tribal people, by giving them alcohol and other substance abuses like ganja and all. They are all addicted to it, most of them. Not all, I won't say that it is all, but most of them are addicted and they are being exploited. See, we know that there are restrictions for tracts of land which has been assigned to the tribal people. Even though I would say that there are many people who have taken, non-tribal people who have taken lands on lease from these tribal people, and just they are exploiting them by giving some money or some drugs or liquor, whatever it is. So I would say that the target people, in case if you want to protect our environment and forest and wildlife, the targeted the women folk as well as the children should be the target. They should be sensitized because they don't understand. I am afraid, or I am a little apprehensive whether we are providing the right education for environment education or education about the forest and the wildlife protection act for our children who are studying in or the mainstream children who are not of course inhabitants of forest areas. So that is the area we have to focus. As ma'am has rightly said, the interaction with the women folk, because an ideal mother will always breed or always create an ideal child. Very simple. So in that regard, we want to sensitize the people from right from the childhood itself, so that we can imbibe a feeling of feeling that yes, this is wrong. What are the laws? What should be followed? And what are the consequences of if we go for this kind of illegal poaching or disturbing the environment? So we are not, I don't think that our children are really taught about these basic aspects. So that is the area which we have to cover, like providing education for the mothers as well as the little kids. It is a very famous thing, just catch them young. Whenever they are very kid, and we have to give the idea, or we have to feed the idea to their subconscious mind, so that once it is entered into their subconscious mind, they will never do any illegal things. So that is the area we have to focus. Second thing is that there should be restrictions not only of transfer, but I think that there are restrictions of the transfer of land from which is assigned to tribal people to non-tribal people, of course. But even for lease purposes, there should be a ban. It should be strictly followed that the land assigned to them should be utilized by them for their own benefit or for their own livelihood. So that area should be focused, I think. This is a very important point which I personally feel that it should be addressed to. Third thing is that the other thing is that now the madam has just rightly pointed out. I have interacted with the tribal people. They're very innocent in the sense that they won't do illegal things on their own. If they do that, because it is due to the ignorance of law, basically. Or either it is for when they are being exploited by others, non-tribal people. So these are the two areas circumstances in which they do illegal things. So these two areas has to be addressed. So children has to be taught right from not only the tribal children, other children also should be taught from right from the childhood itself that about the environment, about the importance of the forest life, the forest, etc. So that's an area it should be focused. And being a police officer, as I have rightly earlier said, that I have interacted with people, they are so innocent that I don't think that police will falsely implicate any tribe in any crime. It is even if they are being booked and they are being booked or they are being implicated in a crime, it must be due to their ignorance, or they are being used by others, or they are being exploited by others. That is the point I have to make. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. I just had one point that you had stated in the beginning, and it's a great insight that you've just given. The simple point where I think Justice Ramakrishnan also mentioned, and you also mentioned, saying, if we are able to keep them away from their families or from the rest of the communities, and like sir just mentioned about the jobs where these tribes don't want to do jobs, because we worked with this community for more than a decade. We managed to, or we've had the privilege of going deeper and deeper into their culture and tradition. And we realized that, like I said, they have been doing or practicing child marriages even today. Their communities or the families are so closely knit that they will not let go of their child for whatever reason. They will not let go of their child for a job or for any amount of money that you would give them. They don't feel safe, especially because they are from this community which is indulged into criminal activities earlier. There's so much of animosity amongst the community, within the community itself. They don't feel safe to let go of their child. We've offered jobs to many people. We've managed to successfully place only 2 people till date away from Panna. So, which is why we've now changed the model, because it's a learning for us, and we've been evolving the way we are working. We have evolved over a period of time, because each community will have their own, I would say, characteristic, very interesting characteristic. And this community particularly is very closely knit with their families. They just won't stay away from their parents or their wives or their spouses. They just won't stay away. And the spouses also won't allow them to work anywhere. So if you have to relocate them, you have to relocate them with lock, stock, barrel, with their wife, with their spouses, with their parents and everybody. Another interesting thing, I mean, I'm just sharing a few insights about this community. They have a very unique practice of give and take about marriages. So if a girl from one family is married into another family, the girl from the second family, any girl, it could be the sister, it could be the brother's daughter, it could be any of the girl, they have to come into the first family as a practice. So each of them hold a girl child in their families and they don't ill treat them. So it's like a practice where all of them end up being related to each other. And it's not inbreeding or it's not in marriage because they have subsex within themselves also. But then there is a practice where, my daughter goes into the other person's family and the other person's daughter comes into my family. So I treat my daughter-in-law well and my daughter is treated well in that family. So the relationship that they have amongst or within the community itself is so interesting that they aren't allowed to kind of separate themselves from this whole cluster. So they live in clusters. They always travel in groups. They never work alone. That's been like a practice that's, a behavior for the community. Like I said, a characteristic of the community that they work in groups. They never work alone. They're not good with working alone. Also, another thing is, if the father-in-law or the child is married and the boy's father-in-law is responsible for training the son-in-law for earning a living. So that way, the father-in-law and the son-in-law have a bonding and they kind of are responsible in case tomorrow the son-in-law does not keep the daughter well, then the father-in-law is responsible. He can't complain saying, my daughter is not happy with you. It's the upbringing done by the father-in-law. So it's a very interesting society. Sometimes they are quite forward. I think they have very, very progressive thinking as against our community right now. But these are the logics that, play a role when they refuse to go for jobs, when they refuse to work under someone. Like I said, they are lineages from the Rajputs. So they refuse to work as jobs under any other boss. So there are many, many characteristics that we have to understand even when we offer them jobs. Forest Department has offered them jobs, but it's not easy for them to, travel on their own alone somewhere and do a job. They just not cut out for it. So only based on the understanding and learning about the community, we could start offering them some opportunities. But that has been our learning.
No, that is, madam, that one thing can be done. You can have the clusters near the forest so that they can give in in a colony, so that the bondage will not be there and the people going and go for work and come back to the family itself.
Right.
So if such arrangements are made, I don't think that there will be difficulty for them.
I agree, sir.
That is because of their experience of leaving the male folk outside. They are always suspecting each other. And when you interact with the tribal people, what they say is, once these people were given out sent out for education or staying in the hostel, they are apprehending of the other people, exploiting these people and being involved in other illegal activities.
True.
There is one apprehension is always there among these people. And if you rightly said, they have got their own principle.
Yeah.
They have got their own law,
right,
and they are strict to it.
Yeah, they have their panchayat law separately, absolutely different from our IPC or any other law.
No, that
So
is
they
more
have
stricter, more stricter also.
Very,
more
very
stricter
strict,
than
yes.
the other thing.
Yes.
Once the excommunication is done from the tribal community, they will not be brought back. So there are good and bad things are there, but only thing is you will have to make them understand how much it is required for the purpose of changing their original traditional thing for the purpose of making them for a a change in the society, change in their activities. There is only this a long. You cannot do it in a one or 2 days. It is a long process.
Very long process.
You will have to do it.
Absolutely, sir. Sorry, Gokul. We can go ahead with the next question.
Is there anybody else who wishes to ask a question now? Kindly raise your hand or unmute yourself and ask the question.
Ma'am, I would like to share an experience which I had. I'm a retired army officer. I've been to most parts of the country. So what I have seen in Orissa is they tap this tribal potential for sports activities. So if you've seen the hockey team of India, the women's hockey team and the men's hockey team mostly comprises of the tribal people from Orissa and Jharkhand. And they have made hockey academies in both the states, and they've been able to tap the tribal potential, and the tribal areas have developed basically because of sports, and they later on for other activities. This could be thought of. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. We are struggling to find somebody suitable in MP who could help us, or even Maharashtra or anywhere close by. But thanks for suggesting that Jharkhand and Odisha has it. Maybe I'll explore some opportunities there. I would love to get in touch with you in case you can share some contacts where we can connect and make this happen.
No, that is one thing, because archery you can develop from these people. They are good hunters. Archery is an Olympic item. If they can be properly trained, this can be the knowledge can be the skill can be utilized for that purpose. You can get a medal. You can't say. Sometimes.
Absolutely. And they're
The only
brilliant.
thing is promoting these people for required purposes are not being understood in the right way. That is the only thing. That from top to bottom, the initiative must be there for this.
True.
To have their own academies for this purpose. Tribal academy you can have, so that they can train from there, and then for expertise training they can brought to other areas. Initially, if you put them in that, they know that they want to do it. Once they feel that some more training is required for the purpose of competing with others, they will automatically go for a better training. So this way we'll have to.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Is there any question? We have Sunil Krishnan. Sir, kindly unmute and ask your question, sir.
Yeah, I'm Chandrasekhar.
Good evening, ma'am. In fact, I have a point to make, because whenever one of the main reasons I would say that the tribal community is not getting integrated with the mainstream is due to the Naxalbari, or what you call the left extremist view. Because they used to exploit these people for their own existence. They used to tell them that all the civil authorities, they are very against the tribal people. So that is why they are surviving. I think that is an idea which should be really adjusted to, because even in Kerala also there has been so many sightings, and there were active LWEs, that is left-wing extremists. So they used to go to these tribal settlements, and they take classes that whatever civil authorities whatever they are doing, it is against them. So either they are forced to believe, or at least they are being convinced. So that is an area which should get an immediate attention. That's what I feel. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I mean, honestly, I think with the community that we have been working with, we haven't really seen something like that. But the bigger issue is about the mainstream society accepting them and trying to think about them in a positive way. We've had school principals shunning or shooing away students from his house, saying you can't step into my house because you're a Pardi. This is as recent as 2 years ago. And he's a principal of a school in Panna, which was very sad. I mean, well-literate, educated people don't consider human beings as human beings, and they consider them to be, of different castes and different breed. So it's very sad to understand that literate people, well-educated people, when it comes to society, when it comes to hierarchy, it still exists in rural India. It's very much existent. In cities, things have changed, but I think in rural India, things are still a long way to go, I would say. That mindset, to get that change, is one of our biggest challenges. Like I mentioned, we have three major points that we're working on. One is education, one is alternate livelihoods, and third is getting them a respect in society. And that has been the most challenging part. I think it's easier to educate them. It's easy to give them a livelihood, but it's very difficult to get them respect in society. I don't know, it's already been a decade. I think it'll take another couple of decades before we can change the impression on our mainstream society. Now, that is a bigger challenge that I have faced throughout our working with the Pardis, because it's not so much to do with any of the other issues there in the landscape that I work in, but just simply changing the mindset of the society in MP. Like even today, if you can speak to anybody and say, I worked with a Pardi, or if I end up talking to anybody and saying that I work with Pardis, they will warn me saying, we warn you, they are going to stab you from the back. And honestly, Pardis have been like our extended families for the last 10 years. We speak to them every day. Till date, they've never stabbed us at the back. So I hope that impression can change someday, but it's going to take a long time.
Next, thank you, ma'am. Next, we have Chandrasekhar Lakshman, sir. Sir, kindly unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, thank you. I have one query and also one observation which I would like to make. The query is something like we are making a lot of interventions, as I have understood from the conversations. Would like to know whether we have any maybe some time back, maybe a couple of years, or I don't know exactly how many years we are working on this particular community, whatever be it. There would have been a baseline study. And now, as of today, what they are aspiring, whether we have any study. Why I'm asking this is sometimes what happens is some startling revelations do come during the course of our intervention. In my case, in my doctoral study in Wayanad, where we were having some Vana Samrakshana Samitis as a divisional forest officer, when I made this study, the revelations were startling, and we were not able to believe that the society wants something else, and we were doing exactly the opposite of it. So I would like to know whether any such study has been done. I would be interested to know about it. Then next is regarding my observation on the policy front. This particular tribe has been fortunate that they have got one organization like you to intervene. But there are some other tribes which right from places like Rajasthan come down up to Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and indulge in such wildlife poaching related activities. So at the policy level, I'm just wondering, for all these livelihood interventions which we are talking, especially in the forest, and they don't like to go out of forest, the forest department requires resources. And in my earlier stint in the regional office of the ministry, I had the opportunity of finding out the budgets of almost all the southern states, including Kerala. The budgets have been coming down, heavily. Like what we started in 2015, if you start in 2000, like if you see in 2020, the budgets have been shrinking, including the government of India's budgets on this particular aspect. When the budget is shrinking, how do you expect the forest department or the setup to fund all these projects which we are thinking has to uplift the tribals and their livelihood opportunities and initiatives? So this is my second observation. I would like to hear from you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Ma'am, please continue.
As regards the Chandrasekhar is concerned, I think in one of the cases, when man-animal conflict came in Kerala, that is a pineapple cracker issue, which killed the brigand elephant. I got a good write-up and as what you call the way forward to deal with these aspects and also to resettle the tribal people and all those things. I have suggested, I have forwarded this recommendations to the ministry. I do not know how far they are going to take it up. I do not know who is the author of that, the action plan. I do not know. Chandrasekhar was part of it. I do not know at that time. So that was forwarded to the ministry. I am also doing a study on this. In Tamil Nadu also, I am asking for a holistic action plan as to how these can be effectively dealt with. As some of them have said, environmental education is one thing which is basically lacking in India. Each law college will have to take up now as a curriculum, and it must go to the root of the people. And also in education, small children also must understand. Merely because your fundamental duties have been amended by saying Article 51 capital A G, compassion to the animals, unless it has been transferred to the grassroots level, I don't think that this will be possible.
Sir, I'm privy to that particular proceedings.
Probably.
And also, I'm aware of the report, and one of my colleagues only has prepared the report. Of course, the emphasis on that particular report was on the human-animal conflict.
No, in that, they have also dealt with how the tribal people can be resettlement can be possible, so that the animal can be habitated in their own area.
Yes, sir. We have a progressive scheme in Kerala, sir. We have, a special scheme in Kerala for rehabilitation and resettlement for these, relocation. We have special funds. But unfortunately, as a country, of course, in Project Tiger, we do have some funds, sir. But I'm trying to tell that the budgetary allocation for the forest sector as such in all the states. If you take, the information is available in public domain. All of us can have access.
No, I don't know, because a Kempa fund can be used for that purpose, some extent.
Yes, sir. That as an official of the Forest Department, I have some. I can say, sir, I have some reservations on that. Kampa fund is always a fund which has to be used for that purpose, and it cannot be a substitute for regular budgetary funding. And budgetary support from the states rather cannot and should not be diminished because of the Kampa
I don't say that it should be diminished, but at the same time, for the purpose of exigencies like this, why can't that fund can be properly or scientifically utilized?
Yes, sir, it's being utilized. It's being utilized. That 60% of that NPA funds is certainly being utilized. But then also, sir, our regular budget support is coming down.
I don't say that that will have to come down. Whatever contribution that will have to come from government has to come.
Unfortunately,
even in one of the cases, NGT has suggested to have decentralized the forest departments also to have more divisions, so that the management of the forest by the people can be possible. And creating more posts for that. In Delhi, I think that they have done it.
Okay, sir. Anyway, sir, like regarding the other one is this thing, and regarding all the other tribal communities in various parts of the country, fortunately, this community got it. My concern is that, what is the policy level prescription for the entire country with all the, type of, tribal issues in the country? How are we going to deal with as a country? Because it's going to have an impact on our entire nation. And second thing is regarding the baseline survey and whatever is the survey, whether it is done on this particular, initiative, I'd like to hear it. Thank you.
Sir, regarding the baseline survey, when the initiative started, there was a wish list that was created as to what the community wants. And as we progressed over the last 10 years, we have been getting more and more requests from the community. We haven't been, we really feel that, the demands coming in from the community have been beyond what we would have thought intervening, into. And I think that is specific to the Pardi community because they are not one of the primitive tribes. They are one of the most progressive tribes, I think. They are very well exposed to the modern world. They're very well exposed to the ways of life. So there are demands that keep coming in. They need laptops. They like working with phones. Many of them have bikes. Many of them have mobile phones, Android phones. So it's not a community which needs, help in trying to progress. What we are trying to intervene with is providing platforms and opportunities. So only if the demand comes in from the community are we trying to intervene. We're not trying to create interventions on our own or trying to create programs on our own. None of our projects is designed to create something of our own without consulting the community or without getting an input from the community. So this has been a very, very slow progress on working with this community, primarily because we wanted them to see the success of the previous members. Like I mentioned, the education sector, unless they see some of these students being placed, the other parents are not willing to send their kids. They feel it's a waste of time. Because after every milestone, they would say, Arey, we've already educated for 8 years and you haven't got them a job. Oh, it's been 10 years since they've been going to school and they haven't got a job. That's how, they want to look at it. So we had to really convince them saying, oh, another 2 years, at least 12th, let them do 12th and then they can apply for jobs. At least let them do, graduation, then let them apply for jobs. And now that they are in a position to get into jobs, the role models are the only way that the community members can change. We cannot push ourselves to make all of them change. So creating role models is the only sustainable way, whether it is livelihoods, whether it is education, whether it is any other, intervention. It is going to be through role models, and that has to come from the community as an initiative or as a request, which is only at that time we are trying to bring it in. The second point, sir, as you mentioned, I think the budget point, I think you know the government better than me, so I don't want to talk about the budget allocations. I can only share how we have been working. We do have a lot of support from the Forest Department, MP Forest Department. As much as possible, they have been supporting us in whatever requests we've been putting in. But we have also been working with a lot of CSR companies. And I think that has made a difference on ground. Like if we are able to engage with CSRs and individuals, like we've got individual sponsors to sponsor each child. I know it's not like a nationwide initiative that you can run finding individual sponsors, but I definitely know that there's enough and more money available with the private sector, with the corporate sector, if we can tap on the right people, then there's enough available. The challenge is who's going to use it in the right way. I think that's a bigger challenge, because everywhere, like you mentioned, they're not going to be NGOs like us or like any other people. There could be challenges that there is nobody on ground. Even if Forest Department gets the funds, does Forest Department have the resources to work with communities on a sustainable basis for a generation at least? Because changes will not happen over a period of 2 years, 3 years before the officers are transferred. It will need at least a generation. So then the challenge is somebody more sustainable will have to work on ground. So fundraising is not as much of a challenge, I see, as much as a sustainable working relationship with the community. And that is where I see there is a dearth of resources and people and expertise and experience. If we can create that, then I think the funds can still be raised, because till date in the last 10 years, I haven't had a challenge with raising funds for this community at least. The moment we put out stories, there are multiple people who want to come and help with the students, with the employment. But now the challenge is, how do we utilize those funds? That's a bigger question that we face all the time.
If you can just add one more point, ma'am, like what I hinted from my study in Wayanad is that if you can have a correct framework and assess their at present, what are their various capitals? Where are they in various capitals through a proper questionnaire and a proper research? I think if you can move away from this livelihood and all this financing part of it, and if you can empower them on the social capital aspects, wherein they are capable of developing their own institutions. My study in Wayanad tells that people want social capital and people want institutions rather than finance or physical capitals or our sustainability goals. This is the result of my study in one sentence. So if we can develop the social capital in the society through various interventions, that will only survive or make this institution survive. And you can gradually withdraw from this scene. And whatever question we discussed in the initial part of our thing, where what can be done, how it can be sustained, you asked a question. My answer to it straight will be, if we can develop the social capital in the society, and if they become self-reliant, which has happened in Kerala. They are also progressive tribes in Wayanad. It has happened. Our forest department intervened for 5 years. And for your kind information, that we withdrew and the social institutions have taken over, and it has become a success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You're very, very right in saying that the social capital needs to be put in place, and that is the process that we are working with the communities. We are only partly funding it as a seed funding. It's not something that we can fund them completely. So we are motivating them to start something because they're not confident of the success of an initiative like the e-rickshaw. They're not confident whether they could put in so much money and they would work it out. The moment we created a role model, everybody is willing to put in their money. And we realize that sometimes they already have money. It's not like they're poor, because we tend to think tribals are poor. But these guys all have a lot of money. It's just the willingness to use it for the cause, for the right cause. And once we show them that this is the right cause and this is successful or possibly successful, then they themselves come up and they want to, take this initiative up. But yeah, you're right. This needs to be more sustainable and not dependent on any NGO or any organization.
But
sir, you're not audible.
Hello,
sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible.
Yeah,
now.
just I wanted to ask a final, make a final observation to ma'am. Like, what are all the institutions you have created in this?
So, sir, we've created groups, self-help groups. We've created for the women. We've created an informal, group where the community earns for themselves and they manage the accounting, the finances, all of it of the initiative that they've started. So none of that is dependent on us, and the money doesn't get routed through us. When they start earning an income, when they've started earning an income, all of it has started routing through them. So they have created their own resources. They have nominated their own members. They've nominated their own people, saying who's going to do what, who's going to manage the bank accounts. So all of it goes to them. They have managed to create a pool. We've trained them on financial capabilities, on how to maintain books of accounts. We managed to train them on how to, maintain a kitty, which can be used for maintenance of their equipments and so on and so forth. With all these kind of capability building inputs, they've managed to create models, business models of their own. So that is something that I feel, has helped them to sustain all these years now.
if you can kindly think about some hierarchical structure of, all these institutions in a hierarchy, self-help group, over that VSS, Vanasamrakshana Samiti, over that body of a foundation, over that a body of overarching body of the political and other representatives. I think over a long run, that will sustain the entire movement. Thank you.
Sure, sir, sure. Thank you for the input.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am. Kindly pardon, sir, madam. Due to time constraints, we are winding up our feedback session.
Sure, sure.
Thank you, ma'am.
Nice. Just to, because we have already taken so much time, because it's such an interesting topic where all persons who are interested in conservation of forest, wildlife, and nature are interested in involving the indigenous communities. Because as we all know, as we said, that they know a lot of things. Because even my interaction always at the grassroots level, they know more of the forest than anybody else. They have so much of not only traditional knowledge, so much knowledge. So their involvement with forests and making use of making use of them. This is something which we can discuss. A lot of so much of information came to me, so much of ideas, like because and the ideas which have been shared even for other states, it can be used. What Madam has been doing, it's been wonderful, involving herself with so much dedicated to the grassroots level. So we should all appreciate that, and this could be a model for us. And what our Chandrasekhar sir said, it is a policy at the national level, human resources, making use of their human resources, budget constraints, several issues are there. And
Nagaraj, one thing I want to mention about is that the Biological Diversity Act provides for a lot of avenue for such tapping the traditional knowledge.
Yes.
Now, I don't think that though such an act is there, most of them do not know how to implement it, how to use this. So it is, I think that Forest Department is also part of it. If they can able to utilize the traditional knowledge of, because most of them are the native medicines are there. If those native medicines can be utilized, that basic knowledge can be utilized for a commercial way, beneficial sharing can be possible now, because now internationally it is said that sustainable biodiversity is one of the modes by which you can exploit biodiversity in a beneficial way without exploiting it to the what do you call its deterrence.
Yes, sir.
So in that way, I think that to some extent, some of these areas where they themselves can sustain by themselves. They themselves can sustain themselves.
Sir, this is one area where a lot of research is required, a lot of experience is there, a lot of trial and error methods can be used.
Not that, even though the Act 2002,
yes, that even as
we are in 2021, I do not know how many of the because of the intervention of the NGT only, the BMPs, etc. have been registered, they've created, the grassroots level, panchayat level committees have been constituted. The purpose of the community level, the organizations are to go into the people, find out the resources and utilize for the benefit of the society. I do not know, because unless you have got a education on that also, I don't think so it will be possible.
As so you rightly pointed out, all these these are all areas where we require a lot of effort, a lot of areas can be developed. This is an area which should be expanding, and a lot of research can go in, a lot of it's expanding, and as Biodiversity Act can be used more.
Every research is
how to tap the potential, and everything could be done.
No, every research.
Let's be a introduction, maybe maybe.
No, I am thinking of calling for the second member secretary, the biodiversity, National Biodiversity Board has come just in.
Yes, sir.
I asked them to have a convene meeting of the southern region people who are dealing with the biodiversity, so that we can have an interaction with those people without I'm thinking.
Definitely, sir. Judicial intervention is something which could speed up, could act as a catalyst. Could definitely, and of course, our
I saw in
judicial precedent and judicial history shows that only because of the Supreme Court.
No, Ooty, I think.
The NGT, we are having a lot of.
Ooty, I think there is a society functioning where the traditional knowledge of making medicinal syrup is being done by them. If it can be utilized for the Biological Diversity Act provides something, some help to them. I think that can be beneficially used. Right? What I suggest to them, I do not know how they are going to implement it.
Sir, these things, in fact, we require different, maybe not one session, several sessions for discussing this. So it's so such a very wide, vast, and we are seeing the potentials because we are very thankful to Vidya.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, so much.
Welcome.
I extend my heartfelt thanks to you, ma'am, for spending your valuable time with us and also for your valuable words that filled us with the awe and joy of your wisdom. We are truly enlightened. I extend special thanks to Honorable Justice Ramakrishnan, sir, and Chandrasekhar Lakshmanan, sir, for their valuable contributions in this session. With that, we have come to the end of today's session as part of the Wildlife Week celebration put forward by Kerala Law Academy Law College. I use this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude towards Advocate Nagaraj Narayanan, sir, Director, Kerala Law Academy Law College, Mrs. Kasturi Nagaraj, ma'am, Professor Harindran K, sir, Principal, Kerala Law Academy Law College, Anil Kumar, sir, Professor, Kerala Law Academy Law College, and N.K. Shashidharan, sir, Professor, Kerala Law Academy Law College, for providing us with such a wonderful platform. I would also like to thank our faculty conveners for their unending support. I sincerely thank our student conveners for their tireless effort for the success of this event. Last but not least, I extend my heartfelt thanks to all of you for your kind cooperation and patience. This is GS Google signing off. Once again, thank you all. It was a productive meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Happy Wildlife Week to everybody.
Same to you, ma'am. Same to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.